Video 4.3 Azure Container Services. In this video, we will cover the following topics. What are containers? How are containers different from VMs? What are the advantages of containers over VMs? An overview of Azure Container Instances. An overview of Azure Kubernetes Service. Deploying and verifying an Azure Container Instance. Let us have a quick recap of what we have learned about containers. A container is a software that packages up code and all its dependencies so that an application can run reliably and quickly from one computing environment to another. A VM should mimic a computer, so it makes a complete copy of the OS and hardware. Containers are similar to VMs, but the major difference is that they use the host OS instead of having an individual OS. Virtual machines virtualize the hardware, whereas containers virtualize the OS. VMs take up a lot of disk space, whereas containers use relatively fewer resources. They contain only the tools and libraries needed for a containerized application to run. With VMs, updating and software patching of OS needs to be done one by one for all the VMs. But with containers, only the OS of the host needs to be updated. But why should you use containers? Let us look at the advantages of containers. Increased portability. As applications are abstracted from the host OS, containers make applications run smoothly on any platform. Thus, applications become portable and effective to run across different servers. Less overhead. Containers use fewer system resources than traditional servers or virtual machines. Consistent operation. The application will run the same in any environment because it contains all the libraries, tools, etc. needed for an application. Better application development. Containers make the development, production, and test cycles easier. With the increasing benefits of containers, organizations look forward to using containers. So, Azure Container Instance offers the fastest and simplest way to run containers in Azure. It is a PaaS offering. By using Azure Container Instances, we can rapidly and easily run containers in seconds without provisioning servers or VMs. We can run containers on demand for dynamic workloads. We also know that software developers create many applications. These applications have front-end tools, back-end tools, libraries, etc. When the developer completes the application, it needs to be tested and then it can be deployed. But what if the testing operation system is not the same as the one used by developers? Or, what if the testing team has missed downloading one of the libraries needed? The application won't run in the testing environment, but it works on the developer's environment. To solve this issue, deploy all the dependencies of an application in an Azure Container Instance. So, the developer would pack all the contents or tools, libraries, and OS needed for that application into this container. Now the deployment and management of the application become easy with the Azure Container Instances. We have deployed the container instances for our applications. These containers may not work properly sometimes, or we may need extra containers. We can do this manually if we have fewer containers, But what if there are hundreds or thousands of containers? It is a tedious task to do a health check on each of the containers manually. We may need to add hundreds of containers depending upon the need. So we need a tool that can do this automatically, and this tool is Kubernetes. It is a container orchestration tool that manages, controls, does health checks, and updates changes. Kubernetes can even scale up or down the containers depending on the application's needs. The Kubernetes service provided by Azure is Azure Kubernetes Service, or AKS. It is cost-effective and robust. AKS is a container orchestration service that makes it easy to deploy, manage, and scale containerized applications that work using the open source Kubernetes software. Consider a normal lunchbox. The contents to be placed inside the lunchbox were all assembled and isolated. But after placing the contents into the lunchbox, everything gets mixed. You cannot pick up an item separately. The Kubernetes lunchbox allows for just-in-time expansion of the contents and full isolation between every unique item in the lunchbox and removing any item without affecting any of the other contents. Now let us walk through the creation of Azure Container Instance and verification of the instance. First, sign in to your Azure account and search for Container Instance and select it. Click Add, and in the Basics tab, select the subscription in which you want the container instance to be deployed. Create a new resource group and name it my-AZ-900-container-demo-rg. Give a name to your container. It should only contain small letters, and choose the region as US East. Change the image source to Docker Hub or other registry. Enter Microsoft/ACI-Hello World into the image. Leave the remaining as default and move to networking. Give a name to your DNS. Press Review plus Create. Check everything. Validation success will be shown. Press Create. In the notifications, you can see that the container is being deployed. Wait for some time. If you get this message, your deployment has failed. Then it is due to your DNS name. So go back and create the container instance again. Follow the same process, but don't create a new resource. Use the last resource group and change the name of the DNS to something different. Now, press Review plus Create and then Create. After some time, it will show that your deployment is complete. Go to Resource and press Overview. Verify if the status is running. Copy the container's FQDN and paste it in the browser. The welcome page should display. And congrats! You have successfully created a container instance. Now let us delete the resource group so as not to get surprise bills. Go to the resource group, select the resource group which you just deployed, and press Delete. Enter the name of the resource group to complete the deletion. A notification also says your resource group is being deleted. After the resource group's deletion, go to the welcome page which you opened before and refresh. You can no longer access that page. In summary, in this video, we have covered the following topics. What are containers? How are containers different from VMs? What are the advantages of containers over VMs? An overview of Azure Container Instances, an overview of Azure Kubernetes Service, deploying and verifying an Azure Container Instance. In the next video, we will take a look at Azure Functions.